Hello, my name is Lowell, pronouns he, him, and this is the first session of a Star Trek Adventures game, second edition. And this is taking place on the Open Hearth Gaming Community. You can find out more about that at openhearthgaming.com. It's an online community, play space, so on. We have a webpage with a Patreon that supports that. We have some podcasts now that we're doing. It's all so exciting. So today I'm going to be setting up the game. We previous to this, some of our characters are returning characters from a first edition version, so they've retooled those, and some of these are new characters. We're changing up the command and so on and all of those things. So those are going to vary, but we're going to take time to introduce all these characters, talk about the elements of them, answer any questions that we have about rules, all of that kind of thing. So we are going to do, though, the usual setup that we do, which is a cat's setup, maybe a little bit truncated. But let me walk through that. This is a series two of a Star Trek game set in the sort of next gen DS9 era. We are firmly in DS9 period, but the sense of it being a series two, we imagine that we did a series of Star Trek Kintsugi back, and we played this, and you can find that in the our recordings. This is series two where the producers and stuff were like, I'm not sure that entirely worked. Let's take a little break. Let's come back. We saw that with Discovery. We've seen that with Blake Seven. There's kind of a gap changeover between the two. But our characters are crew on a Challenger-class ship using the patrol mission profile. Uh, this is taking place just after the start of that Dominion War. We are in Stardate 2374 here. The hostilities have broken out, and while our ship is not, on the front line, they are one of the ships that's patrolling around, keeping things together, doing evacuations, rescues, all of that kind of thing in the background as this is happening. Though we do plan to have at least one starship battle at some point. We'll get that out there onto the board. Those tensions are in the background. Keep in mind that if you know Star Trek DS9 history, just previous to the real outbreak of war, there has been the changelings causing near rioting and military overthrow on Earth. There's been a variety of alliances and sneak attacks, and I mean the Dominion has been reaching out and joined, of course, with the Cardassians at this point. And as it stands right now, the Dominion have control of DS9. So that particular incident, that particular season is kind of just in the recent past. So that is that. Now, this is our version of Star Trek. This is our version of the universe and the stories like that. So whatever we decide in terms of continuity and stuff is what's going to happen. So we don't have to be experts on this. What'll happen is they'll argue about it on the fan sites, and someone will come up with a theory about why that actually works, and it'll be great. They'll get it in post. This is a series that I tend to run very much episodic, in that I picture each mission as an episode, which could be one session or two sessions. And I tend to frame things up that way. So that's a good way to think about the structure of this. I have asked the players to give me some B plots that will kind of roll in to our various stories. In terms of what we're going to be doing today, our approach, our aim, we're going to be doing a discussion of the mechanics of 2D20, particularly how it works with Star Trek Adventures Second Edition. I want to talk about dice, I want to talk about momentum, and I want to talk about secondary characters. Those are kind of three core things that I I want us all to kind of keep in mind. Then I'm going to have everyone introduce their characters. We'll talk about the backgrounds. We'll have you describe who they are, get some idea. We'll have you flesh out for us a little bit the career events, your recent past, why you're here, all of that kind of thing, and get that on the page. Uh, and then we're going to roll into the that first episode, first mission. I've sent messaged on Discord, Will, the captain's log for you. So you've got that, which is going to be kind of the we start in one place, but we'll be going to a different place for this. Um, so that's what we're going to be doing today. Uh, in terms of tone, for me, Star Trek is very hopeful. Even in the darkest side of DS9 and stuff, it's always a little bit hopeful. And while I grew up with original series, uh, it's Star Trek Next Generation that really landed for me. That hit when I was in college, and it was very like it stuck with me. And so I really do love Next Gen. So I think our tone will probably vacillate somewhere between Next Generation and DS9. Uh, Maybe Strange New Worlds. There's a little bit of that vibe in there. I like Discovery, but Discovery is a different beast. It has a different flavor to it. The same thing with the what is the show with Archer that I can't remember the name of. They have different vibes. But
Enterprise.
Enterprise, thank you. So definitely that's kind of where I'm at in terms of tone. I am going to give us a chance to talk about the palette and some things we want to see or not see. We might do lower decks, like if we decide we want to have an episode that is a lower decks episode. I have the source book, which is, by the way, really good for this with the adventures and it's got great stuff on it. And so, if we decide we want to, we can certainly do that as one mission. And yeah, I do think Lower Decks is possibly one of the finest Star Trek series ever. Um, but with all that in mind, we'll all play together, but we are using a layered set of safety tools. I hope that when you hear safety tools, it doesn't make you cry. And if it does make you cry that we're using safety tools, please stop watching the video at this point because you don't understand what Star Trek is. So there we go. So we are using a layered set of safety tools. Number one is lines, veils, and then ask first. Kind of sets up our baseline here. And again, for me, hardline is we're not even dealing with that particular theme or topic in any episode. Veil means either we fade to black or it's referenced and it happens obliquely off screen. And then ask first is just something, hey, if we're going to do that, I want to check in before we bring those plots into play. Second is the X card. The X card basically we're using as our reactive tool. You could just say, I want to X card that or X card. X card, when you invoke it, the only question we might ask of you is how far back do we need to go to change that out? You're never required to explain why you've X-carded something. Don't have to defend your choice. You're welcome to do that, but you're not required to do that. The X-card is a good thing. Also, if we find normally used for things that are problematic or objectionable or trigger a phobia, those are all reasons to do X-card. But also, if we find something that's wildly off tone, or maybe something's going on in a play style that is bugging you, the X card is a good way to kind of stop and have us recalibrate where we're at. It's also like maybe we start to head towards something we've got marked as a line or a veil, and I haven't picked up on it. Then that's also a good thing to mark out with that X card. The last two things, we do have a romance matrix for romance subplots. It's there off to the side on our safety tab. Above that, we have the Zoom link, and we have a couple of rollers. I've got the DDD, or sorry, the DD dice roller we're using, and when we get to kind of like actual like we have to have a map for this space combat, then we'll be using Owlbear Rodeo, telling folks in advance on that. I'll try to remember to screen share. I always forget to do that when I should. But the romance matrix is in there for if you're interested in your character with romance subplots, with PCs, with NPCs, and so on. And then lastly, it is an open door, meaning that you can step away whenever you would like. If you need to go because, a cat has destroyed something in the background, or Amazon has arrived or whatnot, you are welcome to step away. You don't have to tell us if you're going to be back. It'd be great if you could, but you're not obliged to. The other thing to that is that uh, if we get done with this session or a later session, you're like, I'm not in the mood for this. This is not the game I want to be playing, whatever. You're welcome to step away, and no harm, no foul on that. There's no worries if this is not your thing at this point. So I just want to put that out there. I do want to give you all a heads up. Will is here for the first 2 months, and then we'll be out for that final month. And I think right now, as it stands, Sabine is on the list for that final month. But we'll figure that out when we get closer to that time. I just wanted to throw that out there as a heads up. So right now. Uh, and again, this is a living list. The lines and veils list can be added to as we go along. I want to mention the following things that we've got as hard lines: fat phobia, graphic gore, harm to children, homophobia, racism, sexual assault, and transphobia. And then we have veils on eye injuries, harm to animals, and sexual content. And then ask first for any topics, themes, discussions of mind control, PC betrayal, or suicide. So those are all kind of in the mix as we're thinking about this. Now, I'd like to bring us over one more step closer. I'd like us to go to the palette tab. Palette tab I'm using to record everybody's B plots in one way. For those of you at home, I had a list of 100 B plots that I had put together that I gave the players, and I asked them to choose a couple that they're interested in. We may not get to all of these, but I definitely want to have them in my pocket to bring into to play as we go along. I'm also going to try and make better use of kind of recording the wishes in the Stars of Wishes at the end of session. Sometimes I forget about that. Sometimes I write them down, and then I can't read my handwriting. I will honestly tell you that is a real problem. Uh, what I wanted to do here is just to get some guidance, is go around and if there are some things we want to add to the palette, that these are topics, themes, stories that we are more interested in, or topics, themes, stories, elements that we are less interested in for this. This gives me, a guidance of things to lean into or not lean into. And basically, I'm going to go around a couple of times and, see if people want to add stuff to this. So, Donna, can I start with you? Is there anything you want to add for the more interested in or less interested in?
Um, I think and this is probably referencing some fun I had last time out. I think we want some, political webs, diplomacy maybe.
Okay, absolutely. Jolene.
Um, yeah, do like also the political diplomatic plots. I'm less interested in the horrors of war. Like I
Okay.
remember DS9 getting into that.
We may start out with a little bit of element of that just to kind of frame things up, but it's not something that we're necessarily going to dwell on. That seems fair. Yeah. Dan.
Uh, I liked in Strange New Worlds more recently them sort of stumbling on the mysteries of the universe um, in conjunction with kind of some of the political stuff they were dealing with. So just sort of weird things that they find on alien planets.
Okay. I'll also misspell stuff because I cannot type. Will.
Um, I suppose I would like not the horrors of war, but like I'd like that conflict to be present within DS9, like the maybe more in terms of like rescuing people, I'm going to put rescuing people, saving lives,
Okay.
like averting disaster, saving people, being big damn heroes, rather than the adagio in four strings playing in the background as a child.
Okay.
More of a sort of like in the nick of time, you save the refugee convoy or whatever, right? Like not the perhaps the dwelling in the miseries of war.
Misery. Okay. I like it. I'm going to come back around one more time, and we'll see if there's anything else. Donna, do you have anything else you want to add to the list here?
I know we have a varied set of species here this time out, as we did last time, I think, and I would like to see, some kind of, those species, those races are complicated and complex, and one size doesn't fit all. Um,
Okay, absolutely. I certainly think our Vulcan medical person is pushing towards that, and of course we've got Orion. We've got some great things there. I think that's fair. Jolene?
Yeah, I'm very interested in like the personal lives of the crew members and like the NPCs crew members. Like you said, TNG, big spot for me, and they always had like subplots of like, oh, it's Troy's birthday or whatever.
Okay, absolutely. The bottle episodes that are on the ship or
Yeah,
the
holodeck
complicated.
episodes. Oh God,
Yeah,
let that should go on.
excellent. Dan?
I want to echo what Jillian just said. And I know we're going to do this, but I'll say it out loud so it's on the list. Holodeck programs.
Okay. And Will?
I'd like to put in the less interested in the time travel episode.
Oh, I do. I was going to get away without you putting the kibosh on my time travel
Darn you
shenanigans.
will.
I think that's fair though.
Yeah, I actually quite enjoy the odd time travel episode of Star Trek, but I think in a role playing game, I've yet to really encounter that many time travel things that I think are, because they involve a lot of pre-written closed narratives, right, as opposed to making it up as you go kind
Okay.
of thing.
Anything else anybody else wants to throw on the list? Okay. I want to talk mechanics now. Before we get into introducing characters, I want to talk mechanics about how this game plays. And the very last tab in the character keeper, I'm going to take us to. It's called making rolls. So here's the basic principle of this game. And you may already know it, but I want to walk us through this because there are a couple of decision steps that occur. There is a significant amount of weight on any roll. We're kind of leaning into that because there are a number of steps to figure it out. So when you make a test, there will be an attribute and there will be department. Attribute is your high number. Department is usually what from 1 to 5. Okay. Whatever that total is on those 2d20 that you're rolling, that's what you need to roll under. Once you figure out what your attribute and department is, and sometimes I'll say it, and sometimes there'll be a negotiation about what we think is appropriate. Do we think this is a medicine task or is this more a science task? That's a kind of question that we might address there. And feel free to lean into your strengths in that case. Once you know what the attribute and department is, the next thing that you should ask yourself is, do I have a focus? You have 6 focuses on your character keeper. These are things that you are especially good at. If you have a focus that's appropriate, say, and we'll count that. Normally, a critical is 1. Any 1 that you roll counts as 2 successes. Essentially, if you have a focus, the department that you rolled, like let's say you have medicine 4 and you have a focus that applies, that becomes your crit range. 4 or less is now 2 successes. It's a thing that people forget. So I wanted to really kind of put that up front because it can make something when you're like, oh, geez, it takes me 3 successes to do what I need to do. How am I going to get there? A good focus can make a difference. So once you've got that and you know that, those are things we look at the character keeper and we can tell what's going on. At that point, if you want to do better, you have some options. You'll have something called momentum. There'll be a momentum pool. You'll notice that is off to the side on the player character sheet. This can go up to 6. I'll talk about how we get momentum in a minute. But you can just take momentum out of the pool. Most people are polite and ask, but you don't have to. You can just take the momentum. Spend 1 momentum and you get another D20. So spending that momentum gets you 3 D20. It is not cost efficient to buy more than 1 D20. The rules allow you to buy up to 3 more, but that is a fool's game. You're losing money doing that. But 1 momentum, if you have some spare, it's a good way to ensure that things are going well. If there is no momentum in the pool, or if you feel risky and you want to leave some momentum for somebody else, or if you have a talent that builds on threat, what you can do is you can buy those dice, but you give me threat. This is my momentum that I use for the bad guys. I start out with 2 points per mission per PC, generally. There are some talents that, like, if you buy a die with threat, then you get a bonus, that kind of thing. So take a check and see if you have something like that. But threat is just momentum, but you're giving it to me. The next thing that you can do before you roll is you have 1 point of determination. You have 1 point. And this is what you're going to have per session. You're going to have 1 point to do this with. You can spend that determination and essentially it gets you an extra die that's set at a 1. Gets you 2 successes, like a little critical success bonus right there. But you have to declare that before you roll. You want to also check and see if you have a talent that might give you a benefit. There's some talents that give you bonuses when you buy dice or when you assist someone, those kinds of things. So you want to check through that. The last option is if it's possible, someone can do an assist action. Essentially, they roll with their version of that attribute and department, but they just roll 1 D20 and they can throw those successes in on yours. You have to get at least 1 success for their assist to help, but that's how that works. Now, when we're out of like a conflict situation, it's easier to say, oh, I want to help them out with that. That's the thing. In combat, that assist action is actually an action. It's your major action to help someone else. Now, the most common thing when you're on the ship is the ship itself will help you. So when you're doing actions with like the con or the ship's computers or anything like that, you're almost always starting out with 3d20. Your 2 dice plus a die for the ship itself. And boom, it gives you, that bonus. You can buy dice on top of that. The ship stats are a little bit different there. It has systems and departments. It has the same departments as you do, but it has a little bit different in terms of systems. Now, why are you rolling these D20s and why am I talking about successes? Because any action in this game is going to have a difficulty. That is the number of successes that you need to get to, have the thing done, to get it done as we want to get it done. And I will say the default is 2. If I don't say something else, then consider that it's probably 2. Might be easier, might be harder, that kind of thing. That difficulty can be modified. I'm about to talk about another sub-mechanic here. I want to put a pin in this here. There are things that this game borrows from Fate. Fate has aspects. This game has traits. Traits are things that if a trait is applicable in a scene, if it has been created through an action, or if it's just in the scene because it lowers the difficulty. So it will lower if you have a particular trait that you can apply, it'll lower the difficulty of a task by one. And you can make up traits that then other people can invoke and use. Uh, Unlike Fate, we're not spending points to invoke those traits, and those traits stick around until the situation changes. So that's one of those things. Traits are a thing we often forget, but that is a mechanic that is out there to keep in mind. When you're rolling, you've got that difficulty. I said the difficulty default is 2. When you roll, if you get 2 successes, great. If you get more successes, those successes, every single one of them turns into momentum. You immediately have that momentum. So if I get 4 successes on a 2 difficulty roll, I now have 2 momentum. Now I can have 2 choices. I can immediately use that momentum that I've generated to make my action better. I can use it to do more damage. I can use it to do more effect. I can ask an additional question. There are all these things. Momentum basically can get spent. If you have 2 momentum extra, you can use that to create a trait. That's what momentum does in that moment. Like as soon as you roll and you go, oh, I got these extra points. What do I want to do with them? The other option you have is get those 2 extra successes, the 2 momentum. You can put them in the momentum pool. Again, the limit is 6, but you can just throw them right into the pool. I am going to leave you to track that. I'm going to track my threat. You're going to track your momentum. So remember to do that. I'm telling you that now because I forget. So I'm putting it in your hands now. One of the things to look at is if there are particular actions that you can do that maybe are a little bit easier, like giving an inspiring speech. Might be a difficulty 1 task, and that's a good way for the captain to generate some momentum to have in the momentum pool. The book mentions this, so I know it sounds a little bit like a goob, a little bit like an exploit, but the book does particularly mention this as a thing to consider. The momentum pool will stay between sessions in the same mission, but will go away at the end of a mission. There's also a rule, and I have to check if it's in Star Trek Second Edition or not. It used to be that at the end of every scene, the momentum went down by 1. I don't do that because that would require too much tracking for my little pea brain. So that's just one thing to keep in mind. That is mechanics. That's the real basics of the mechanical side of things. And Will,
Where do we see the determination?
determination is written on your characters. You should have 1 point, should be right below your picture.
X to represent meta reputation. There is determination.
Yep.
Do we start with 1?
You start with 1. Now, when you spend determination, I also forgot. If you screw up a roll, the one option you have after you roll to fix it is to spend determination. You can spend that determination to re-roll any number of dice that you can choose to keep the successes that you rolled and re-roll the fails. You could re-roll everything to try and hopefully get crits. That's the only time. Anytime you spend determination, that's when you're going to point at one of your values. We're going to ask you which value is driving you here. It's why I flipped. I used to have the values up higher and then focuses down below. I switched them so the focuses are up closer to the stat numbers. Values, that's what you're doing. Now, if you have spent your determination, how do you get determination back in play? You get determination back in play if one of your values causes a big problem for you in play. If one of your values creates a problem for you, not necessarily for the group, but for you particularly, then you can generate a determination that way. You can also say, hey, I think actually what we're seeing here is actually challenging my value, like showing me that maybe I'm not on the right path. And that's a thing that you can mark, get a determination, and then like at the end of the session, when we might talk about how you rewrite your values. So kind of an ever-growing thing there. Um, so that's the basics. The other mechanical side thing that I want to mention for this game is some of the secret sauce for Star Trek Adventures. On the ship and crew sheet, on that tab, you notice I've got the stats for the ship, and then I've got all of these little character blocks. At any point during a session, you may introduce a new crew member. You may introduce a new secondary character. Uh, because of your ship size, you can have 5 secondary characters appear in one session. There's a crew limit thing. Uh, Basically, you throw some numbers in, you get to make some choices on stats, you get to choose talents. They don't start with any values. Um, uh, and uh, uh, Eventually, how this has worked. When they're first introduced, they are paper thin. You make up the characters and things like that. They have a stress track of 1, which means if they get hit, they go down. If over time, you can do advancements on these characters. And essentially, you add a value to them, and their stress track will go up to half their stress. If you have 2 values on them, the stress track goes up to their full stress track. So there is a little thing of playing around and advancing the characters. Every time they appear, they get an advancement. Every single time. So when they're on screen, they do that. There is a little tracker way down below on row 53 below the ship stuff. So we could see about like how we're advancing a character. Now these can be used to, okay, we need a sensor operator, or we need a red shirt. But it also is, and we saw this before, I don't want to go down to the planet. Um, I think it's appropriate for my crew member to stay up here, in which case you make up a secondary character or pick one that we've got on the table and you run them, going on a away team or being on the ship. And we build up our cast in this way. These are probably some of the people that, if we do a Lower Decks episode, will make up that Lower Decks episode at times. All right. Any questions about that?
No,
Okay.
I think my favorite one use of a supporting character was, I think, when we left Ward in charge of the ship and Donna was flying it, I think, and then moved over to a supporting character on the planet on the away mission as well. It's a good, like, keeping the ship in this fiction whilst the actual A plot was going on the planet, right? They're great. Probably my favorite thing about Star Trek Adventures, for sure.
Yeah.
That gave us a good reason for everyone else to play secondary or characters left on the ship and to do some nice dramatic cuts back and forth.
Yes. I think it's a great piece of design in the game. All right. So I would now like to have you tell us about your characters. I am going to start with the captain and kind of go to the existing characters who are returning from the previous one, and then I want to move on to our new faces in here, and have you, there's name, pronouns, talk a little bit about who they are, what you think is important for us to know about them. And then, of course, I'm going to have some questions about the focuses, values, career events, all of those kinds of things. So, Vate.
So, Drenove is a betazoan. We're gonna never work out the right nomenclature for a single member of the betazoid species, but who was raised among human societies as a federation, traveling alongside his betazoid parents, the authors of A Feel for Things, The Strange New Worlds Inside, an exploration of emotions across the race, the species of Starfleet. But he rebelled against the voyeuristic detachment of his parents and joined Starfleet. His career was largely working in the Cardassian border conflicts in search and rescue, where he gained his first ranks by exposing Cardassian sabotage among civilian ships, which brought him to the attention of Starfleet intelligence. During the course of his career, he visited the site of an extinct species called the Whisperers, where he sort of psionically bonded with an artifact called the Whispering Blade that Starfleet allows him to wield to this day due to his link to it. That's expanded his, the Betazoid's abilities to include psychometry. So, he can read emotions and surface thoughts and also, surface impressions from material things. During that time, he, one of his values is the Federation must be protected. That's also from internally, because he's come across Section 31 in his intelligence work and believes it is an insidious threat against all that Starfleet holds dear. He was part of the search and rescue at Wolf 359, where he met the former captain of the Kintsugi, Captain Carlton, and became part of this. And I think he's perhaps been given promotion to commander rather than lieutenant commander.
Okay.
I think the book says, whatever your rank is, the leader of the ship is captain. So captain, commander, whatever. And yeah, Vate is very hands-on, massively overqualified and daring in security. I think, as with most Star Trek crews, it turns out that all the PCs make nerds. And so I was like, well, let's do, the daring can-do sort of action hero type, and that's Vate basically is and the empathy and the Betazoid abilities are more along the lines of, it's really a really good way of not getting surprised by ambushes and things is knowing that someone's about to hit you, stuff like that. It more sort of builds into his instincts, reflexes, and things, and he uses it for the standard stuff we see Betazoids do in most of the Star Trek media. And yeah, that's Lieutenant Vate, Commander Vate now. I need to stop calling him Lieutenant Vate. I'm so used to calling him Lieutenant Vate, but now he's Commander Vate. That is Lieutenant Vate. I have not put the stats for the Whispering Blade or any of the standard kits on my sheet. I presume they're probably pretty much the same as they were in the first.
Yeah, I think so. But I'll also take a look just to make sure in case, because they took out those effect dice, like what happens there. So yeah, you did time in intelligence operations, and are now jaded with it, right?
Yes, yeah. Thinks that it's still Starfleet intelligence itself does a good, job of providing intel and doing those things that can't be done above the surface to save lives, but that the lack of oversight is extremely dangerous, and the lack of accountability, because not everyone's it's too easy for people who view themselves as outside of the chain of command or outside things to lose the empathy for the people that they affect. And I think that's probably what drives Vate, is a real strong sense of empathy for the suffering and the people that Starfleet generally alleviates,
Okay. Captain Carlton has moved on to probably a larger command ship. They need to get experienced officers, and Carlton was, a little bit of a diplomatic focus, but he has moved on to that. How long have you been in charge? Are we going to start with you arriving to take command, or do you want to start with you having been in command for a bit? Like, what are you picturing there?
Well, I think given the captain's log that you sent me, I think I've been in command for these search and rescue duties in the Ascor system, and that search and rescue purpose is why I was promoted and why I've been put in charge of the Kintsugi because Captain Carlton was a real Starfleet diplomat. I kind of imagine that now the Federation's forming an alliance, right, to stand against the Union. That Carlton's been chosen to lead up one of the joint task forces, because he's good at getting these various different factions to work together. So, the Klingons and Starfleet, and the Klingons obviously wouldn't respect anyone but a war hero like Captain Carlton. And yeah, in leaving the Kintsugi behind, he put my name forward as somebody who has been, in times of war and can be trusted. And maybe Starfleet intelligence leaned a little bit on that scale to get one of their assets in there.
Do you think that the first officer that you had for the Kintsugi, that was Vrala Andala, the Andorian, has she followed Carlton, or do you think that she's on the ship? Which would you prefer?
I was wondering if our new lieutenant, Dr. DeVell, was interested in taking the first officer's position. Because if so,
I think that's like a fun story beat that
yeah.
could come out.
Okay. Yeah,
But then
let's start with kind of as we are starting that initial scene. Let's do the departure of that first officer. We'll kind of roll that into as a story beat there and play that out. Okay.
Yeah, sure. So currently, then it is Roller Andala, but perhaps she's requested a transfer off ship, or she's been requested somewhere else, and we can go through the classic Star Trek. Who will be the first officer now that the position's gone?
Excellent. Yeah. I have one more question for you. The galaxy is haunted.
Full of strange things.
That is one of your values. Like, how much do you think people know that that's one of your values?
I don't think they generally do.
Okay.
I think they know that I think it's part of that search and rescue experience, the wreckage of ships, whatever. And he's been to these strange alien worlds and seen these battles that were fought by species thousands of years ago. And it's still there. And, all the stuff that we do today is tomorrow's ghosts, and someday someone will look over the wreckage of a Starfleet vessel and draw a strange warp core artifact out of it and ascend to the stars themselves. I think that's perhaps a thing that maybe Ward has seen a bit of.
Okay.
Our shared experiences of doomsday machines and ancient technologies brought to life, but others, I think he plays that quite close to his chest,
Okay. That sounds good. Let's come to Astrid Ward. Donna, tell us about Ward, what her background is, her experiences, values, and where she's at right now.
Yeah. So Astrid Ward is a young officer still, just made lieutenant junior grade, as per the end of our last campaign. Had been in the academy when the Borg had kind of wiped out most of Starfleet. Her brother was aboard the USS Melbourne, lost with all hands, and yeah, struggling to get into service as quickly as possible after that, which is, I think, where the Kintsugi came in, both as a stopgap, but also being made of parts of those destroyed ships, I think, including one of the warp nacelles of the Melbourne.
Let me break in here. So one of the things I didn't mention, one of the premises of this is your ship essentially was built with what they could salvage from the Battle of Wolf 359. They were desperately trying to put together ships as fast as they could to deal with the Borg, and your ship in particular was like what they could put together onto this, what was left of a Challenger-class ship and rebuilt with other parts. So that is the premise behind this. You'll see when we do the titles, and also why it's called Kintsugi. Um, Sorry, go back, Astrid.
Sorry, I stole your thunder there.
No, no, I forgot to say it.
Um, so yeah, I think one of the kind of key career events was kind of betraying the ideals of the Prime Directive for her then commanding officer, uh, Captain Haskell. That was not on the Kintsugi, that might have been on a previous command.
Hmm.
Who then returned to take command of this very ship in dubious circumstances. I think he got his comeuppance. Ward was made executive officer at the time with a lot of strange feelings about a mere ensign jumping over many of the more qualified officers. But yeah, it was a very strange standoff when we found out exactly what he was up to, and Ward kicked him to the curb, let's say. Um, yeah, what else do we? I think one of the things, I mean, kind of actiony in terms of being at the helm, but also a bit of a nerd for those old technical specs of the ships that make up the Kintsugi. So uh, I've switched one of those talents to be hands-on pilot because I think Ward understands this ship from a helm point of view like no one else does.
Hmm. Uh,
Yeah.
what what it like tell us like what her like downtime is what is her interest, what is her off-duty hours, what is that like?
I mean, there's a couple of things. One is like one of her values is about like self-reliance and independence, and that's like being a free-range kid on a starbase growing up with Starfleet parents on duty, not really taking care of her. So kind of like a Newt in Aliens of finding all the nooks and crannies. So there's a bit of that. She's an engineering nerd, got on well with Lital, even though he would never show it.
Hmm.
The chief engineer last time out. Um, but I think also they had like a poker night going with a lot of the other junior officers, some of whom may return, some of whom may not. I don't know. So like a friendly kind of social thing. And also I think maybe it's in the hollow deck. She does a bit of ice skating. Um, because yeah, everything is possible in the holodeck, right?
Absolutely. All right, I dig that. Let's come to then Dr. DeVell.
Yeah. Dr. DeVal, she's Orion, raised on Delta 4. Her stepfather is Delton. Her mother is Orion. She comes from, I guess, a decent sized family. I don't know what a large family is in Delton society, but she's got three other siblings, two older, one younger half sister. The other two are step siblings. Um, yeah, she got interested in anthropology growing up on Delta. You know, being an Orion on Delta where everybody's psychic and it's just like, I'm not. This is, but like they're all welcoming. So, and it's like learning more about other cultures through the history and whatnot. Let's see, her events, career events. You know, she's got a full doctorate and she will remind you that she has a doctorate.
Okay.
She's not a medical doctor, but she's a doctor of botany and anthropology and I guess archaeology. You know, she did a lot of studying before actually taking her first post on ships. And like her career events, I went with Lauded by Another Culture and Breakthrough Intervention. And I tied this into the Gorn
Okay.
and developing some hydroponics for some of their ships to help them survive better and long-term survival in space. I love the Gorn, but specifically like TOS Gorn,
Okay.
where they're bipedal and, you know, sentient. and not xenomorphs.
Yeah, I think that that's fair. One of the things that we see in some of the extended Star Trek universe is that there are different colorations that are different kinds of Gorn and things like that. So you may have an appreciation for what it means that there's an onyx Gorn, or a white Gorn and so on. And yeah, I think I like leaning in that direction.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially, I mean, they have starships, so clearly there's intelligence there. And I think like maybe there's, different factions, like you said. And so I think she's like freshly made a lieutenant,
Okay.
like after that thing with the helping with the Gorn. That's like what I got her recent promotion.
Let me ask you this. What was it like? You have the pheromones
Hmm.
that the Orion deal with, but even more severe, the Deltans
Hmm.
have significantly more issues with the pheromones to the point where they actually,
I was interested in actually discussing this.
yeah.
Do we want to keep that? Because that's a line from like Star Trek the movie, and it's been 100 years since then. I
Hmm.
was wondering if there's like science advanced enough that like they've developed technology where it's not like, hey, you'll die if you sleep with these
Right. No,
people, because
no.
it was sexist. It was real
Yeah,
sexist back
yeah.
then.
No, I think it's better that they do have tech, but they do that it's still kind of because those pheromones can get out of hand.
Yes.
There has to be some care of that, and it probably means that like a little more than the Orions, the Deltans do probably keep themselves
Yeah.
a little more distant to other people.
Yeah.
So
No, I
that's
love that. Yeah.
okay. Yeah, I think that
And like I
that's
think I like the idea of like growing up with the pheromones, but she's also growing up surrounded with people with way more intense pheromones, so she's kind of used to it. But like when she actually went to Starfleet Academy, there was way less people with this, and she does like attention, but she's also like afraid. Like one of my values is haunted by the hounds of love, because
mhm.
like she's a romantic at heart, but she's also afraid whether or not people are actually into her.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think that that's good. Um, how many Orions do you think are in Starfleet now? Is it still like a shocking thing to see an Orion?
I think
Is
so,
it
yes.
okay? All right.
Yeah,
I
because this is pre-Lower Decks, the
yeah.
series, so she's probably not the first, but like not many. And I didn't take the talent where that wasn't me, so
Okay.
he's not good at convincing people. I'm not a pirate.
Okay. Awesome. I think that that gives us a
I'm
good
a nerd.
sense. Yes. Um, then let's come to Varric.
Varric is a medical. He's sort of at the tail end of his medical training at the Vulcan Science Academy, and one of the rotations that he's been putting off is um, in kind of emergency medicine. Sort of in the field, kind of trauma medicine. But he's finally doing it, and that's why he's here on the Kintsugi. Uh, he's uh, he's very competitive, which sort of flies a little bit in the face of the Vulcan. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. One of his values is there's no I in team, but they do grade on a curve. So he's very, very cognizant of where he sits in his class. He was doing a rotation on a remote colony, um, and Starfleet had arrived to help with some stuff. He was responsible for doing a cybernetic implant on one of the colonists, and the surgery was botched, um, and it was botched by uh, one of the Starfleet doctors, but Varric was the one who ended up taking the blame for it. And that has led to him being a little ostracized from the medical community, but also him being intensely suspicious of Starfleet in general. So he's got to do this rotation. He's not happy about doing this rotation. He kind of has a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, a huge chip on his shoulder, and wants to prove that he's better than the Starfleet medical community. You were saying earlier that Star Trek is all very hopeful, and I really appreciated that. And I wonder if part of Varek's role on the show is to be a what is it, like a proxy for the audience who might be showing up skeptical that a a society like Star Trek is possible.
Do you think that for people in the Vulcan Science Academy, do all of them serve with Federation or Terran ships, or were you given this assignment like particularly for maybe a reason?
I like that. I think it's distinctly possible that he ruffled enough feathers where someone indicated that he would need to do this. I think he got to pick which ship, but he had to go. And Will was talking about Commander Vate's kind of the galaxy is haunted. No one knows about this, but there maybe have been rumors, and Varric is sort of drawn to the mysteries of the universe. So maybe he sort of was like, well, if I have to do it, let me see what's going to happen on this ship.
And still a fairly young Vulcan. You took the untapped potential there. Um, so we'll consider you in terms of role benefit because you do get a talent for that.
I was wondering if he's not the only medical officer on the, like he's, again, I was sort of picturing Nurse Chapel type
Yeah.
thing. So there's a doctor, there may be an existing doctor, or it may be that the ship is too small to really have its own doctor, or there's like a emergency medical hologram that's sort of taken over a lot of those duties. I don't know if you wanted to put a proper doctor on the ship.
Yeah, we'll figure that out and play, like whether you
Okay.
want to do
Sounds
that.
good.
There is a role for a expert.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
If you want to take that as your role benefit there.
Yeah, I had been looking at that and then forgot to put it in there.
That role benefit includes basically you get a focus. When you use that focus, you generate a bonus momentum. You'll see some talents may say bonus momentum. Bonus momentum is momentum that has to be spent right away. It can't be dropped into the pool. But yeah, I think that's actually a good role, and then we can talk about what that medical, especially if they've been doing search and rescue, they may have somebody who is essentially a specialist in being like a triage emergency, surgeon kind of figure there.
Yeah, actually, I'm glad you mentioned that. So his area of interest is somatic medicine, sort of this idea that your capacity to heal is very tied up in your mental state as well. And I'm glad you mentioned that because the search and rescue stuff is sort of appealing from that perspective. Yes, people are under harm, but sort of giving them hope and helping them kind of think through their psychological trauma might also help them heal physically. So he was drawn to that as well.
Excellent. Excellent. That sounds great. So that is our crew. We have an image of our ship. We're going to take our first break, and we're going to come back, do our captain's log. After we do a little bit of a teaser, go up. We'll see what the credits look like, and we'll roll into our first mission. So let's go to quarter after for our break, and then we'll return and get started. So I think we come in on the classic Starfield, clean and clear. But then as the camera moves, we start to see bits and pieces, sections of hull, the sparking sections of a nacelle, we start to see as it kind of moves forward that there's a lot of debris. It's clearly not just one ship. It's clearly a couple of ships there. Um, and kind of the dead silence. And we move along and we will see a California-class ship, the Stockton. And the camera moves further and we can see the Challenger-class ship. We can see the Kintsugi. We know the Kintsugi because it has weirdly mismatched panels, coloration, things like that. It is a ship that has a real, patchwork look to it. And Astrid, how do we know that, like, what do we see of the rescue operations? Like, what does that look like? Is it mostly doing tractor beams? Is it shuttlecraft out? Is it people in evac suits? Like, what do we see that tells us that kind of effort is going on here?
Yeah, I think we see a mix of all those things going on because, speed is of the essence. You can't take care of yourself as much as might like to. So we see some people out in shuttles, maybe with those larger shuttle ones which have their own tractor beams. I think we see a few maybe security officers in their zero G hard suits, um, cutting open panels and all of that kind of stuff. And I think the Kintsugi is there doing the heavy lifting,
Right.
with its
It's very much in the heart of this. Uh, Dan, in this sort of image of the Kintsugi, kind of in the midst of this and the wreckage around, how do we know that California class, like that it is on sort of close patrol alert? Like what tells us that to know that there's still tension here?
Tension in the fact that it's damaged. Is that what you're?
Like the California class ship has clearly been assigned to kind of keep watch and
Oh, I see.
defend if something happens here. Like what do we see? Are they flying close? Are they moving in patterns? What do you think?
I think I think it's yeah, just kind of working a little bit of a perimeter, and there are shuttles from this ship also that are sort of acting as a way of keeping an eye on things.
Right. And Dr. Duval, there is a moment where we can finally maybe make out like at least one of the ships here is a Miranda class, like the Reliant from Wrath of Khan. Like, do you think we see the front of the hull? Do we see the nacelles? How do we know? For the fans at home, how do they now recognize that that's what kind of one of these ships was?
Oh, it's the nacelles.
Okay.
Definitely the nacelles.
Yeah, that kind of paired nacelles, the back end of that. And I think the camera will come in closer to the Kintsugi and we get the voiceover.
Captain's log, stardate 2374. The Kintsugi is finishing up search and rescue duties in the Asakor system following an ambush by the Dominion on a set of transport ships, being escorted by two Miranda-class ships, the Redoubt and the Pursuivant. We managed to salvage some life pods, but the loss here is catastrophic, far worse than what I saw in the Cardassian border conflicts. Unfortunately, I'm sure worse still is to come, given everything that Starfleet intelligence tells me about the Dominion. I'm proud that Captain Carlton chose me to take over his command, but there's something different about being the one giving the orders. I'd much rather he was here running the Kintsugi than playing diplomacy with our Klingon allies. For now, though, the Kintsugi's just been picking up the pieces. In my experience, even rescue missions can become battlefields, so we'll have to be prepared. After all, the Cardassian Union never put much stock in the rules of war. Still, today we save lives, and that's what I plan on doing tomorrow.
And we see you in your ready room. How have you made this? Like every time, the captain makes their ready room theirs. How do we know? Is it still in transition? Is it definitely yours? What do we see?
So it's the ready room and the briefing room, like
Oh,
the
I actually think you hear the room that's right off the bridge, the captain's sort of room.
office of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that Vate has got one of the displays up, and it runs a tally of like the names and people that the Kintsugi saved over time and on previous missions, and it's like a list of everybody that Starfleet has saved during his tour with them. And he's also got like data, like data feeds from the war, the Dominion War, like the fronts, the spaces, everything like that. It's very much, well, Carlton's was more of the classic captain's waiting room, sort of like with old decorations and stuff like that. Bates is very much intelligence, information, and goals kind of thing.
And there'll be that tweet tweet sound that we get when we know somebody is at the door,
Enter.
and we will see a tall Andorian woman come in. She has a satchel, a bag over her shoulder. We know this is Rola Andala. She will say, uh, Captain Fate, um, I'm about to I'm about to set out for the Stockton.
You sure you don't want to stay?
Commander Carlton asked for me. The Stockton will take me to Carcosa 3, and I'll rendezvous with him there. I'm sorry to leave you in a lurch at this time.
Well, if Carlton needs you, then Carlton's on the front lines, and that's what's going to happen. It's going to be just not sure who to replace you with, Rolla.
I submitted an analysis of the senior personnel, but honestly, I don't know.
But it's been an honor serving with you. Uh, you know, tell the captain his old crew say hi and safe travels.
I will do that. I will do that. And she'll pause there before she goes to leave, and she'll say, I did want to tell you one thing that I heard that I picked up that, and see, she's kind of like clearly isn't sure if she should tell you this or not. Uh, uh, she will say, uh, Captain Haskell apparently has been called back up to duty. Apparently, they need all the officers they can get with command experience. I I haven't told Ward.
Well, leave that with me. Better she finds out now than we're assigned to do a mission where a ship is unlucky enough to be crewed by Haskell. I guess it really must be desperate times.
Permission to leave the ship?
Permission granted, Andala. And whenever you want to come back, permission stands open.
And she will head out. Uh, Mr. Varric, what do you think we see of like what in the search and rescue? They found a few life pods. They've gotten some people on. There are bodies that have been recovered. Like, what do we see? Is it have they got the cargo bay set for that? Is the med bay for certain things? Like, what are we going to see of the ship's medical facilities here and what they're doing in this search and rescue operation?
Yeah, I think we've got the kind of shuttle bay set up for triage, and to the extent that there are some severe injuries, that's all happening in the surgery. Um, uh, I am working triage, although I would rather be in the surgery.
Okay. How do we know that like what's the shot or what's the thing that tells us that this is maybe is it beneath you or that you just would rather be? Like, what do we think we see there?
I think another one of the medical personnel is asking me sort of about a particular patient, and I sort of heavily sigh and say, another broken bone that I have mended, and which is a relatively simple thing for us to do these days. And so I'm like, so please show me the next person who has a small scratch on their arm or something like that.
And they kind of do a double take before they bring somebody else in. And then again, yeah, this is somebody who injured themselves doing the search and rescue operation, got their arm crunched, and it is just a bone knitting.
Yeah.
Uh, Even as you hear like a little alarm go off and one of the nurses go running to where the surgery is. Ward, what do we see? What's your role in the search and rescue here?
Yeah, I think she is at the helm of one of these shuttlecraft, doing these search and rescue sweeps. So maybe there's a couple of other crew members aboard in their zero G suits, who will be going out to kind of rescue people we find. So yeah, um, I think it's at the moment everything is straightforward. Like there's no uh, whirling machines of death, but
Mhm.
just in case. So it's very simple work working on the thrusters, and then just making sure that her people get in and out safely.
Is
Uh,
she focused? Is she excited? Is she worn out? Like, what do we see? What do we know of Vate's state here on camera?
um, I mean, I think you can probably tell from everyone's demeanor that they've been at this a while, right? So this is kind of double shift, maybe some long hours doing this. And we all understand that, we can't take our breaks when we might like because there's people who are very close to death out there. So no one's complaining, but again, maybe a senior officer on this shuttlecraft, she's making sure that people aren't losing their focus. So yeah, tired, but yeah, keeping at it.
And Dr. DeVell, what are you doing? What's your role in this kind of operation?
I think she's at the science station, the
Okay.
sensors,
Hmm.
she's keeping track of like, debris out there, searching for other surviving life signs and whatnot. So she's on the
Uh,
bridge right now, I think.
yeah. Um, it's a new season. It's a new episode. We redecorated the bridge. What's the cool new thing that we have done on the bridge? Is it about the displays? Is it about the layout? Like what is the thing that makes this bridge a little bit different?
What did the old bridge look like?
I think we were more classic sort of next gen style bridge,
Hard. The best bridge.
the best bridge.
Um, yeah, I think like they've updated there's like new chairs for us to sit in. They're still comfortable looking because, this is a film set
Right.
and they want the actors to be comfortable. But it's like they've got like a fancy new upholstery or whatever for much more probably not like the beige colors like TNG used to have, but
Mhm.
like more in line with like the grays of the war.
Is the lighting more uh, TNG or is it more Brave New World or is it more sort of dimly lit war style that they do sometimes? What do you think the lighting is like?
I I don't think it's dimly lit.
Okay.
Um I think it's more probably Strange New Worldsy.
Okay. Okay. A little bright. It's a smaller bridge than we see on the Enterprise. A little bit tighter. Um, and Dr. DeVelt, you will get the confirmation. you've done a sweep and another sweep and checked in with the Stockton and confirmed, and you are 99% certain that there's no more life pods or uh, such to be recovered at this point. And it's your chance to report to the captain. You're the one who's kind of overseeing that. That's you, DeVal.
Sorry, I got distracted
That's
by,
okay.
yeah. Could you repeat that? I'm sorry.
So you've done your sweep, your double sweep, your triple sweep on the wreckage, long range sensors, close
Mhm.
range sensors, and at this point you are certain that you have recovered
All right.
every life pod that there is to be recovered.
Okay, thank you. And yeah, she's just give out the call like it's clear of life signs. So we've done all we can in this sector. I don't know if that's a hail to the commander or just talking
Message,
to.
I think you messaged to the commander who's in his ready room.
Is it
Yeah.
commander or captain?
Well, you would
Um,
call him captain, but it is
Okay.
Commander Drenna.
the book says, the convention is that everybody who's in charge of a ship is the captain, but you can use either,
Okay.
Uh, thank you, Dr. DeBell. Bates says as the message comes in and we cut over to, he's in his ready room and he's looking at, uh, you know, like the board, the window, the view screen at the back is showing, the wreckage of the two ships, the three ships, in fact, like, spread out across the void and the various dots of the Starfleet crews returning back to the Kintsugi. And Bates got, the manifests of all three ships on data pads in front of him. And, the number of like names in red scrolls down, and the number of red names in green, like barely touches like one side of the thing to counterbalance it out. And he sighs and says, bring everyone back in, like give the order to bring everyone back in. Uh, as soon as we've got the wounded squared away, we're going to do we're going to scuttle what's left of what's left what we can find of the command decks. I don't want any Cardassians picking apart the wreckage like vultures afterwards.
You get a message from Captain Coulson on the Stockton, and he will say, Captain Vate, we're heading out now. Are you good on your own now?
Aye, sir. Good luck.
And we'll see the Stockton, peel away and then go to warp. And Vate, communications will come in and will say, uh, Captain Vate, there is a message from Starfleet, Admiral Morozova on the line.
I'll take it in my ready room.
And you will go into your ready room, and Morozova pops up, older woman, got graying hair, uh, and she'll look and she'll say, status report, Captain Vate.
We've retrieved all of the survivors. There weren't many, I'm afraid. All three ships lost, nearly all hands.
You have capacity to care for those injured on the ship?
I believe so, sir.
All right. I had planned on dispatching you to Starbase 11 to turn over the personnel. However, we have a situation. Um, I'm sorry to derail you. We have a potentially serious situation that has arisen on Gamma Scorpia 5.
Gamma Scorpio 5. What kind of situation?
Potential cultural contamination of a pre-warp civilization. Uh,
You have time for this?
uh, we have to make time for this. The Stanford Morehouse Epigenic Project embedded a team on Gamma Scorpia 5 to conduct inobtrusive genetic sampling of the planet's population. Starfleet had been, prior to this, prepping an anthropological survey. The natives, who call themselves the Voiced, they aren't developmentally ready for first contact, but we've had some situations in the area, and so we wanted to be prepared given how close it is to Cardassian space. Um, so we wanted to know as much about them, should, as has now occurred, hostilities break out. But the Dominion has been operating in this sector, and so we had sent the signal to withdraw the project's personnel from the planet. Most of the team have already left, but the survey lead, Dr. Liu Yen Chang, he stayed behind to prep their lab for breakdown. Uh, However, his scheduled call for transport off-world, it's now overdue by a week. Um, the radio silence is troubling, both for, of course, the doctor's sake and for consideration of the Prime Directive, General Order 1. We want you to proceed to Gamma Scorpia 5, perform a welfare check, and if all's well, I want you to bring Dr. Liu home, and I want you to keep me apprised of the situation.
Sir, if we encounter Dominion forces,
Use your best judgment as to engagement. Rules of engagement now are open. And she pauses and she goes, it's the Wild West out there, Vate. Be careful. If you are engaged with superior forces, immediately withdraw. But if you have to fight, the Dominion has shown us that they mean to fight.
understood, sir. We'll bring Dr. Cheng back.
Morzo out.
And yeah, I will bring up Gamma Scorpion 5 on my screen, contemplate the planet and the situation, and then proceed out into the bridge. And I think, the camera doesn't cut away with me to the bridge. It
Right.
just opens and you just hear helmsman, make ready for us to leave as soon as my previous orders are finished. Gamma Scorpion 5, full warp. And yeah, cut away.
And I think that we cut to the opening credits. We see the Kintsugi. We use much of the same sort of CG generated graphics of last time. It does this thing where the ship comes out and then it shatters into pieces, and then we get the name of someone, and then it reassembles in a different direction. And there's that shattering and reassembling theme that goes all through it as we get everybody's name and stunt acting and so on through here, and featuring Mr. Varick, and so on. And then I think we're going to cut back to the ship in warp. You are heading to Gamma Scorpia 5, but I want to give everybody a chance to maybe call a scene or do an interaction, like, because you've just been in this tense situation, like, what does decompression look like? What do we see of your behavior? How do we now, again, this is episode 1, so we're now getting a chance to see who are these characters, what are they about, what do they seem like? Let's start with Lieutenant Ward.
Yeah, I think probably taking a break. Someone else is on the helm right now. So despite needing some shut-eye, she has decided to go to holodeck instead, and is like strapping on these bizarre-looking devices called ice skates uh, to to practice making some shots because ice hockey is a key cultural touchdown for her right now. So yeah.
When we get the shot, when we go into the holodeck and we get the shot, is it a classic ice rink or is it like a Norwegian frozen over fjord or like 1950s Americana? What do we think we see here?
Yeah, I think I think a fjord is a good call. Maybe there's fir trees, impossibly close to the shoreline, right? Whoever designed this has never seen an actual fjord.
Okay.
Um, and yeah, there's a goal in the middle of the fjord, and she's skating around quite comfortably, but her shots are terrible.
Okay. So a great skater, but you're still working on the
Yeah,
ice
yeah,
hockey
absolutely.
thing. Uh, awesome. So I think we get a that interaction there as we go along. Uh, who is your closest friend on the ship?
Um, I want to plug for the return of one of our previous cast members. I think also promoted is Adira Lee, who is
Okay.
now a lieutenant junior grade. Maybe maybe not quite in charge of security, but
Didn't
uh,
she die? Didn't she get strapped into a Borg ship, into the Doomsday Machine due to a Borg infection and sent off into the void in season one?
are we not retconning that? Did we?
Yes.
I think actually I think that's great too. Like we have her, but we have different makeup on her to show the Borg nanite infection. Clearly she's been rescued in some way, but we've done the makeup to make it look like something has happened.
Sweet.
Uh, well, I mean, maybe not. I mean, maybe that was a high moment of drama that we can't cheapen by a retcon.
Okay.
Uh, who else did we have? We had Tavilic, right? Who I'd think, did he go off ship? Maybe
Yeah.
he's returned as the head of security finally.
Yeah, he was
Okay.
on the USS Montgomery, so maybe he's transferred back as the head of
Yeah.
security
Yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Tavilic will come in again. Tavilic always acts. He's an Andorian, and he always acts a little more superior, than he ought to perhaps. And he will come in and he immediately walks in, and then there's that moment where he suddenly realizes that he's on ice and will start to slip. What do you do?
I mean, I'm gonna let him fall on his ass, you
Okay.
know. Uh, but I will help him to his feet without much trouble. Um, you might have been walking into vacuum, Tavilic.
I,
You got to check the.
I checked the safety interlocks. It didn't say anything about ice.
Oh well, whoever created this hollow program should really be censored for that.
And you'd see him look around. He clearly does not care for the ice stuff, and you see him like there's something about it that like clearly bothers him. But he will say, "I just wanted to check and see if we're doing the poker game or not."
I think we have time, right?
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure. Wasn't sure.
Who else did you round up to join us?
Well, I checked in with a couple of other people. Uh, I don't know if it's appropriate to ask the Vulcan or the Orion. I mean,
It's
I'm not sure I
inappropriate
want
because they
to
think.
gamble against a Vulcan, and I'm not sure I want to gamble against an Orion.
Well, then I think we definitely should invite them.
All right. And I think we'll cut away from him moving very gently. very carefully across the ice back over to the archway. Uh, Dr. DeVille, since we've mentioned the Orion in the previous moment there, what do we see of you now that we're done with the search and rescue? We've got some time on the ship. What do you think?
I think Devel went back to her arboretum. I think I pronounced that properly. Where she's checking on, like, she's been cultivating some new samples that they picked up on their last away mission, to see, like, she can help breed them in this environment, and just making
What's
sure.
the sci-fi plant thing that we see here?
Oh, I think it's like, I don't know, like purplish, purple and like red, and like, it's like sort of like crawling up the walls, sort of like vines.
Hmm.
And it's like, all right, just have to make sure these don't get interfere with like the actual ship sensors. It's trimming here and there.
And are you the chief science officer?
Yeah.
Okay. So what do you think it is that we see you doing kind of as the work of dealing with the other, science personnel? Are you organizing them? Are you checking in on them? Like what do we see that kind of professional side of things?
Oh, I think she's been trying to do her best since uh been promoted to this position, because like normally she's under the she's aware of the pressures that she's facing. Uh, some of those pressures might just be her own mentality of thinking that, like, well, they're going to judge me for everything I do. But also, like, she's not like the classic science officer where I'm a physicist or astrophysics or any of that. And like, I'm great with planetary survey and away missions, and like how to survive on alien terrain.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's actually go to mechanics on this because I want to see. Let's have you make a presence plus command roll. I
Okay.
want to see like what impression you make. I think this is difficulty one.
Okay.
What kind of impression you make on your subordinates here?
Yeah. She's doing would etiquette be an applicable focus?
Tell me how you're using it to make it an applicable focus. Applicable.
She's like, she's gone through what all their specialties are, and she's trying to, like, make sure they are scheduled properly in the right shifts. She's taking into account what if they're various species, what are their various habits of, like, like the Nubulans have like hibernate for weeks at a
Right.
time. So we're making sure that when they're covered when they need to do that.
Let's apply that focus. So it's a 13 or less,
Hmm.
and threes or less count as two.
Okay. Trying to remember how to I used this the other day. Okay. Nope. Well, I got a one
Got one
success.
success. So this is adequate. You're not making a lot of headway, but people are, you know, seeing that you are in
Complacent.
charge. Okay.
Yeah. I'm
Uh,
not stepping on toes.
Absolutely. Uh, Commander Drenna, do you want to like what you call a scene, but do you want to like have you calling Devel up to, or are you stopping in to talk to Devel with that sort of first officer thing? Do you want to play that scene out?
Yeah, I think I'll come down and see how Devel is getting along in the science labs, working with the junior crew. Uh, some of whom are maybe, like a bit wary around the new science officer, not sure. And I'll see maybe Devel, step in to tell someone how to do some analysis in a certain way. And, given that she's not ruffled any feathers, she seems to be getting on. I'll uh, I'll nod and I'll just say, Dr. Devel. I know the work here in science often leaves me speechless. Uh, so much that I can't hear you because it's like you're mute by.
Captain, have you been maintaining the Delton orchid that I gave you? Unlike my first joining this ship is
Yes,
a great
yes,
gift.
yes. You see him go like he's forgotten about it entirely. It's sitting in the back of his quarters, not watered, not maintained. Yeah, it's thriving, absolutely. I've been following all of the instructions you gave me meticulously. However, I think I corrupted my store of that. Could you send them again? That's why I came down here actually to ask you.
Well, I can try to get another sapling.
Oh no, I'm sure it's thriving. I'm sure it's perfectly fine. But just send me those details again. Just for
Of
peace.
course, of course.
Yes. I actually I wanted to ask. In your, is this your first posting? I've read your file, but
No, I mean, this is my first time serving as the chief science officer.
and you've never been placed in command of others before.
No, I have not.
Well, you seem to be doing a good job so far.
Thank
Uh,
you.
you don't feel the responsibilities too much?
No more than anyone else in my position.
Hmm. And so far in your career, again, do me the favor of pretending that I haven't read your file. Were there any situations where you feel you had to act under pressure? Science is often seen as a more sedentary aspect of Starfleet career, but often it comes, we need answers in quick and fast. That's Starfleet
Oh,
gets
I mean,
situations.
on away missions, we always have to act under, depending upon the situation, one always has to be ready to act under pressure.
Good, good. Well, it's been nice chatting, Dr. DeBell. Uh, keep up the good work. And who here is have you assigned to botany expert? The botany expertise. Which of the science officers is taking care of the botany discipline?
Me, Captain.
Oh, but you're the chief science officer. Surely you've delegated that task to somebody else.
Well, okay, I do have some others that can take over when I'm called away,
Oh, good, good.
but
Battinson over there, yes? Cool.
yes, Jenkins.
Jenkins, I just need to have a word with Jenkins first. I go over to Jenkins and I say, Jenkins, what
Yes.
do you know about Delton orchids?
Oh, very, very rare and hard to grow, Captain. Have to be maintained scrupulously.
Well, I have new duties for you, Jenkins.
What?
Me.
It's clearly an ensign, so I think their voice cracks when you call them on that.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Uh,
think the feeling after that is that maybe DeVell's not, he's unsure whether to offer that first officer role so far.
okay.
First command to the science thing, first whatever. He likes what he sees, but he's not sure. Uh,
I like it. Let's check in with Mr. Varick. What do we see about Varick? The various injured have been kind of, you know, put in places. We've got the medical areas a little bit more dimly lit. Do we see you there? Do we see you elsewhere on the
I,
ship? What do you think?
most of the medical personnel, having worked tirelessly during this search and rescue operation, are taking a break. I am alone in the medical bay, except for the patients, obviously, who are there. I had the opportunity, despite largely being assigned to triage, to perform a surgery. One of the someone came in, and I was able to use my cybernetics expertise to repair them. I'm thinking maybe a limb was replaced, something, let's say, relatively simple. But because of my history, I am monitoring them constantly. So I'm actually sitting by their bedside, keeping a close eye on them. And I think I have music playing in the med bay because I'm there by myself, and everyone else is asleep, more or less. So,
And what is the music? I mean, do we hear like a Vulcan tune?
oh God, no, no. He is really into musical theater from across a variety of cultures, and in this case, um, the moment seemed to resonate with a, a song from the musical Carousel, the soliloquy number.
So I think that is perhaps a a little unusual sort of contrast there.
Yeah, oh
And
yeah, yeah.
I,
He is singing under his breath
I
too.
think you're patient. We have a patient who has a lot of cybernetics, who is survivor of Wolf 359, Ensign Faraga. Uh, she kind of comes to, and she will look. What did you say?
I, I didn't say anything.
I thought you were talking to me. I could hear it or were you sub vocalizing?
I, if you must know, Ensign, I was singing along. Computer and music.
It takes her a second to kind of realize. Ah, is that is that a therapeutic technique?
I have often studied the value of aesthetic pleasures in their role in healing. So, yeah.
I see.
How are you feeling having heard the music?
Fine, fine. And she'll kind of, do that thing with her hand. She says, I can still never get used to it. I always have that phantom limb
Mm,
feel like I have a, s- a second arm there that's not quite moving at the same pace.
that is very common, especially in traumatic incidents such as this.
I I perhaps overestimated myself on that. I'm very lucky that the suit sealed as well as it did.
Mm. The damage could have been much more extensive. That is for sure.
You're a you're a Vulcan?
The ears don't give it away.
I didn't want to make assumptions, sir.
That's fair, Ensign. Yes, I am a Vulcan.
Oh,
I'm actually a civilian. I don't have a rank. I'm here doing a rotation to learn more about trauma medicine.
all right, all right. Well, we have a number of people who've been through it on the ship. Uh, like myself, it's a lot of damaged people here.
You know, does the ship have a ship's counselor?
I don't believe we do. The closest we have is the emergency bartending hologram.
Uh, that's Dan laughing, not Varric. Uh, I can see how a ship would need to deal with some bartending emergencies, especially one such as this. I have some, of course, extensive medical training. If ever you would like to talk about your experiences to try and process them, I think that could go a long way, not just in healing you, your mind, but also your body.
Have you make a roll here? I think this is appropriate because I
You know how
think,
much I love rolling d20s.
right, exactly. Uh, but this is definitely a person like who people don't like to talk to her about her experiences because a lot of the cybernetics that she got was from the Borg that were then had to be taken out and new stuff put in. Uh, had to kind of relearn and start over as an ensign. Uh, so definitely medicine, right?
Oh yeah.
Uh, uh, you think insight or reason?
I bumped up insight for this very reason.
Okay.
So yes.
So that is a 14.
Hmm.
Do you have a focus that's appropriate?
Xenopsychology.
Okay, yeah, that seems fair. So 14 or less, and 4 or less is a crit.
Okay. Uh, I think I know how to use this roller.
Okay, so you get the one success. But now I'm going to tell you about another mechanic of the game.
Great.
You'll see that 20 that's there.
I do.
Um, that is a complication. And I think that you hear more about what happened with this person, Ensign Fraga, like like you open up the floodgates.
Right. Bad
And,
dates in high school.
yeah, and, but everything about what happened with the Borg, everything that they can remember. I mean, I think that there is a moment when you're like, okay, a lot of this is not like necessarily related to this, but I think that you
She
do.
needed a friend. She needed
Yes.
a friend.
And I think we do get that thing where at the end she's like, "Oh, thank you, Mr. Varick. That was very, very helpful. Would it be possible to schedule a follow-up to discuss this more? I think I've really made a breakthrough."
Yes. Yes. I have limited time
Oh,
for
excellent,
these
excellent.
kinds of appointments.
But
So
you do have time. Excellent.
it may be in a few weeks.
Oh, all right. She seems a little downcast, um, but you can tell that you now have a person who is going to be coming to you regularly to eat up your free time.
Fantastic.
Um, Commander Vate, I want to let you call the scene here before we arrive at the planet.
Um, I think that Commander 8, uh, I'm happy with the scene that I had. I'm honestly happy with that scene. I don't think
Okay.
any, you know.
Uh, then I think we will, uh, see you arrive. I imagine there's a voiceover from you. Uh, you've had a chance to look over the details about the voice. They seem to be a largely agrarian people, community minded. They have some kind of caste system, uh, but definitely pre-warp. And they haven't done a full anthropological survey because this is what this was kind of getting set for. Um, and so assume we'll arrive on the bridge. We've got a beautiful CG planet, that the ship is orbiting over. Um, and uh, do we want to have one of the PCs do the communications thing, or do you want to have establish an NPC communications officer? What do you think, Commander Vate?
Uh, let's establish an NPC.
Okay.
You know, let's have we never actually had a comms officer on the it was Ensign Farga, that was it. Ensign Farga.
Okay.
The
She
cybernetic.
seems much, much chipper, more chipper than she was before.
Yes, yeah, Ensign Farga. Who's clearly doing well under our new medical team with her heavy cybernetic replacement parts.
Absolutely.
People
So
like,
go ahead and put her in the slot on one of the things because we'll have her make a roll here.
oh, cool. So she will be our first supporting character.
Yeah. This is as much as anything just to show off the mechanics of how this works. When you make up a secondary character, uh, you will give them three focuses. Uh, and actually, let me copy. I cut out
Copy
some notes from here.
the history.
Yep.
Uh,
So,
Stress should be one, though. Is that right?
pardon?
Should the stress be one?
Yes, your stress should be one.
Cool.
The attributes assigned are 10, 9, 9, 8, 8, 7.
Uh, yes, yes. I think that's all in line with the previous
Okay.
thing. I don't think that's changed in 2E to 1E.
Right. And then the departments are 4, 3, 2, 2, 1, 1.
Yeah, exactly the same. Yeah. So
Right.
she's got that. Her biggest one is in science, which I believe the comms roles are probably,
Science and engineering are probably the two most important ones there.
yeah. So I will move her con to 2 and her engineering to 3.
Okay.
There we go.
And you may make essentially she's checking the comms. She's getting no signal from the planet. She can make an insight plus engineering roll to see if she can kind of figure out what's going on with that. And that will be aided by the ship's communications plus engineering.
So she has an insight of 9 and a engineering of 3. Let me get the dice roller up. D dice, is that what we're using? D dice.
Yeah.
Cool.
And comms plus engineering for your ship is a 10 or less. I apologize if you can hear my neighbor's lawnmower thing. Thank goodness, because I can hear it right through these headphones.
Wait. 2d20. So 2d20 so far, right?
2d20 for the first bit.
Yeah.
Yep. 12s or less.
I'm passing this dice room as well at the same time. It's a bit,
Absolutely. No, it takes a little bit to get used to, but I think it is pretty fun.
yeah. Okay.
So that's 3 successes already, and then you get to roll a d20 for the ship, looking for a 10 or less.
Why is the d20 such a small icon on this?
I know.
Like the most common dice rolled in most RPGs is the tiniest one.
That is an 8. So 4 successes.
Well, success is Varga's good at her job.
Yep. So that's difficulty 1. So right now we've got 3 momentum. So here's what I will tell Farga, and then you can spend the extra momentum in a way we'll talk about in a second. Essentially, you can run the comms thing, and you can tell that whatever the communication device is on the planet, that transceiver is not pinging back, and it is definitely inoperative. Now you've got 3 momentum that you could put in the pool. You could spend one of those to ask another question. You could create a trait by spending 2. Those are probably the 2 most likely choices here.
Yeah. You got 3 momentum, right?
3 momentum, yes.
I will spend 1 momentum because so far what we know is that the transceiver's not operative, so Chang's not, he's got no ability to communicate, receive, or send communications.
Correct.
The main question would be, are there any comm signals of any kind going on this pre-war agrarian society, right? Like, because if they're agrarian, then they're probably not like, if we were to come to Earth, there'd be
Right.
loads of, they're not an industrial society, they are an agrarian.
Yeah. Now I think you will do a full scan sweep check, and you're not getting any other communication signals. There's no radio traffic or any kind of subspace communications or anything like that going on. It definitely matches what you expect for the technology.
Um, and we'd already know the location where he was supposed to be, right? Like,
Absolutely. You know that he has a lab. It's a combination of physically and holographically hidden, that kind of, the hollow stand. It's approximately a uh, kilometer plus away from any kind of voice settlement, so they have some room. So how do you want to play this, Captain?
I'm tempted to spend one momentum to ask for, like, find the human life form there, but I think that what I'll do in the interests of Star Trek script writing is I will store two momentum, uh, and I will say, "Good work, Fargo. We're going to have to send an away team down to the Hollow Bluff. Uh, I want a team prepared." Dr. DeBell,
Yes, Captain.
how confident are you in your anthropological surveys?
I'm quite confident, sir.
Well, then I want you to lead up the team.
As you
You'll be leading the away team. I want you to go down there, find out what happened at the Hollow Bluff. Make sure that Dr. Chang did the work that's needed. If we can't find out where he is, at least we can tidy up after him. But you lead the away team, and remember, the locals don't know anything about us. They don't know that there's a wider world out there.
Of course, sir.
So the best bet, stay hidden. And yeah, I'm happy to go away to assembling an away team and any prep for that. Like,
Yeah. Dr. DeVell was on the away team. Who else are you asking? We can definitely check in with the PCs here. Mr. Varick, there's a doctor doing medical examinations and stuff down there who's gone silent. Do you wish to go down on the away team?
No, but if I'm asked, I will go.
Okay.
You
Dr.
want me to
DeVell,
leave the ship?
do you ask Mr. Varick?
Of course.
Okay.
Absolutely. I'm like, we can't take the chief medical officer. We might need them in case the other emergencies. Just looking through the duty roster and, going to ask Lieutenant Ward as well. We also, so one thing, I guess there's a momentum spend
Okay.
for obtaining information
Yeah.
of what they're called the voice, right?
Yep.
What are the physical characteristics of the voice?
I have a picture in the NPC tab. The second picture over is one of the voiced. The
Okay.
first picture is Dr. Liu.
Okay.
They are a humanoid in that classic Star Trek fashion, but rather than the forehead thing, they have larger ears that have a couple of different receptors on them.
Okay. And then I guess I don't know if this,
So
but
basically, what we do
can
this,
we have ourselves modified to appear like them just
well,
in case?
you can either do this as prosthetics.
Hmm.
You can do this with the classic, well, we've got, the hoods that make us look like we blend in natively. Or you could use the Stanford Morehouse cosmetic genome editing process.
I think Devel herself and Mr. Varick might have to do that. No, Mr. Varick would actually work better with the prosthetics. Devel has green skin, so she's probably gonna have to do the genome
Well,
therapy.
if you can do that, or we can say that people have a various skin types there as well.
Okay, okay. All right.
I mean,
Then
that's
prosthetics all the way.
Okay.
that's a part of makeup, right? Like, just feet.
Yeah.
Don't.
So a simple disguise. Um, well,
And I guess
let's figure out who else is going.
That'd be creating a trait though to do that. I think.
Yeah,
So
we'll
that
have
would
that's why I'm going to have a roll made for that in a
okay.
second.
Well,
But so
I,
Donna, do you want to have? Yes, I'm sorry.
I
Will?
just think that if Tabell asked Bate for his recommendations on who to take away, he'd say, take Mr. Varric. He needs to the Vulcan Academy was very clear that I need to make sure he gets off the ship at some point, and B, if he really wants to show that he's the quality of his work, then he should apply it down there. And who better to speak to another group of science academics than our guest academic? Otherwise, I think that medical personnel, a security officer of some kind, Ward's always good in a pinch. Small team, 4 people.
Ward, you're going. Captain Vate, who do you want to play?
I will play. I think he's Tvilic, who's got to be at least a lieutenant now, right? As
Okay.
opposed, I'll play Lieutenant Tvilic, our chief security officer.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Andorian security officer probably got, some sort of headband hat thing to cover the antennae there, in classic Star Trek hiding the Vulcan methodology. And you will get things together. Mr. Varick, how do you respond to being requested to go on this mission?
I say, of course, I will join you if that is the captain's wishes. But
Your skills are required, Mr. Varick.
I appreciate the opportunity to demonstrate them.
Meet at the transporter room at whatever. Probably have a briefing beforehand. So
Okay.
Oh, I want to before the away mission what is a momentum pool?
So right now, it momentum
It
should
be
be
like 4, right?
it was some was spent. We're at 2 in the momentum pool right now.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
Let's have you make your disguise roll first, though, because that may
sure.
generate or cost momentum.
Okay.
I think this is difficulty 2 because you got 4 people that you need to disguise using prosthetics. So the momentum pool should be at 2 right now before we start, rather than 4.
And attributes. Oh, do I make a case for what I'm trying to roll?
So what do you think this is? This definitely feels like you're using science.
Yeah, insight and science, I was thinking.
Okay, let's go with that. Do you have a focus that feels like for creating disguises?
Anthropology?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I think
that's
that's a reach.
There's a
It was a
wild
good
reach.
one.
It's definitely not archaeology and not botany.
Right.
So
No, I think this is a little more technically.
yeah, this is just like basics of blending in. I don't have a camouflage thing, so
Okay. So it's 2d20 and 15 or less. Do you want to spend one of the 2 momentum in the pool to?
no.
Okay.
And 15 or less. Okay.
15 or less.
All right. That is 3 successes.
That is 3 successes.
All right.
Well, let's see. Actually, 2 successes, right?
Well, my science is a 5.
Yes, but you only get the crit.
Oh, right. No focus. Right.
Yeah.
2 successes.
No.
All right.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I'm gonna spend that momentum immediately for expedition expert.
Well, you didn't. We got 2 in the pool, so you want to spend that momentum.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what does expedition expert do?
Prior to participating in a away team mission, you may make additional preparations by spending 2 momentum immediate. During the expedition, any member of the away team may reroll a single d20 on any task to navigate the terrain or circumvent hazard or obstacle. The away team may reroll a total number of dice in this way equal to your science rating.
Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little highlight on that to show that you've spent that momentum to get that going. And I think we will see you get set. We've got the disguises. You've got the native clothing on.
Studying the terrain.
And we will see you beam down. So, what is the new transporter effect? Suggestions? What's different about this effect than the classic one?
But
Do
the
we
the
go for it? Well,
oh, sorry, Donna. But yeah, the you know how like in the very classic one, it was just like a freeze frame of the person fading in. Like you saw that through Star Trek Next Generation and stuff like that. It's that like the line, like the CGI budget on this one's incredible, and it's like the person, the features and the shape of the person being transported, like gets sort of drawn in like line by line, like really quickly as the beam solidifies around it. So you get like a sketch becoming a figure within that blue light, basically.
Nice, nice. I like it. And we'll see you up here. It's it's a forested area, that kind of dense smell of the kind of wet woodlands around here. These this is clearly part of a set of forest that is untended. When woods are absolutely not cared for, they do grow fairly wild. So you will find yourselves moving through that. Um, uh, Ward, I think you're kind of on navigation here, right?
yeah, because astronavigation is exactly as reading a map on planet. But yeah, I mean, uh, finding a way around the place is usually my job, and I probably stepped into it.
Okay. Uh,
Um,
Then I think let's have that reason plus con.
yeah, I don't think any of those focuses apply.
Okay.
Um,
Difficulty one.
okay, let me figure out the die roller.
Making everybody roll at least once here today. That's my goal.
So that is one, right? Because it was
Yeah,
control con
yeah.
15. Yeah.
Uh, Now the other thing is, I assume you're using a tricorder to do this.
That would make sense. I'm not,
Okay.
I don't think it's a printed map and compass
Right.
in,
In that case, you get to use the ship's systems for this, which means you can also roll computers plus con, which is a 14 or less for an assist there.
so I'll just roll one more die.
Okay. So you have two
Success
successes.
or success.
If you're happy with that, you do have some re-rolls, and you do have a momentum then.
Yeah, I'll put that momentum back in the pool.
Okay.
Maybe we find out, we find maybe a better approach. The terrain is better than the map.
Absolutely. And you all will find your way through here. Uh, what is what is our security officer's post? The first time we've seen him in the field, first time we've seen our chief of security, like, is he casual? Is he tense? What do we see of Varric?
Uh,
Not
Tvelic,
Varric, Tvilic, sorry.
Tvelic is, I think, has a confidence that he didn't have in the first season of Kintsugi. He served on the Montgomery's, come back. I think that he's keen, but he's still overly keen. Like he's very like doing everything like textbook precision, like immediately like covers like all the angles with his phaser upon looking, and like positions himself, and it's all very like precise and drilled because he's just a little bit like uptight about his new role as chief of security on the Kintsugi. Because last time he was here, he was a science officer continuously trying to be in security, and now
Right.
he's that way. One thing on Tabelic, I was looking at the supporting character rules,
Uh-huh.
and I think that this qualifies as a supervisory character.
Okay.
If you're playing, senior role in the ship's crew, etc. They cost 2 points of crew support, so we've spent 3 points of crew support so
Okay.
far. But they have higher attributes, high departments, 4 focus instead of 3,
Oh,
get 1 value. And then
okay.
stress rating is equal to their fitness, like a main character.
Okay. I'll let you work out those numbers. That's great. I'll have to add that to the keeper.
Yeah, I just thought before I, check with the GM before you start thinking.
Absolutely.
And
And
I want to
yeah,
ask, our stress rating is equal to our fitness?
it's fitness plus security.
Okay, because I wasn't, just because I also couldn't find the rule about the what the support, like normal supporting
Oh yeah.
characters.
So if you hold over the value, the that has the rules for that.
Yeah, no, I just wasn't sure if that was a holdover from 1E
No,
versus.
that's how they're doing it now.
Cool. Okay, perfect. Well, anyway, that's me taking up time talking about the
Sure,
mechanics.
sure. No. Mr. Varick, what do we see? Like, what's your approach, mood, stance here as we see you traveling on?
Um, I'm using a tricorder to scan for life signs and specifically humans. He's all business.
Okay.
He had issues planet side before, so I think he's also sort of playing it by the book. Um, Anyone listening too closely would hear him sort of humming underneath his breath too. So
Why don't you make, well, let's have you make using a medical tricorder. So we'll use the ship's computers plus medicine to aid you on this. Um, why don't you make a reason plus medicine roll?
okay, 15.
And you have a specialty, a focus in tricorders.
I do. Does that mean I add another die?
It means that if you roll a 4 or less, because that's your medicine, that's crit. So let's start with the 2d20 from
That seems
yourself.
unlikely.
So we got one success, and then you can roll for the ship's assist. So
Which
one success. So you will definitely pick up that there's some energy signatures clearly from the stand, and there's definitely like a life sign. And then nearest life signs are, essentially you could guess that to the north is some kind of settlement because you're certainly picking up that there are clearly some small life signs, flora and fauna in the woods, and maybe some people in the woods itself, but it's not particularly heavily trafficked or populated there. Does that seem like a fair answer?
Yeah, so you said one life sign nearby?
Yeah, it definitely seems like corresponds with what Ward is saying is the distance to the stand.
Okay.
So Dr. Liu or someone else seems to be there.
Okay. Is it feasible for me to tell anything about that life sign off my tricorder?
Oh yeah, I think it's fair to say. I think you could tell it is a human life sign.
Human and not voice.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. And we will see the four of you arrive at this covered stand. You have the tricorders, the Federation thing, so you know how to, spot the hollow camouflage, and there's physical camouflage as well. And Dr. DeVell,
Hmm.
are you communicating? Are you buzzing? Are you just opening the door? What do you think your next step is here?
I wanna, well, I should order the security or a security advisor to check to see if there was any infiltration. Was the doors blast? Is it set up to, keep people out? Like, were there signs of struggle or anything?
Uh,
She's so tempted to just like study all of the plant life though. It's
Yeah.
like it's like maybe there's carnivorous plants. You never know.
Tavilic, would you like to case the joint?
yeah, Tibelic, I think if it's okay to be like frame it as like stand back, Lieutenant. like busybody his way over and just be like, you should always let security go first. It's called in Starfleet manual. And he draws his phaser and, does the whole like scans, then steps through the hollow bluff. Like,
let's have you make a reason plus security roll.
is
What is the aid rules? Can you just aid? Do you need
So yeah,
just use the
this is not
aid?
in a combat situation, so you could help and add a d20 onto their roll.
Sure.
Also rolling reason plus security.
So should I add that d20 so that we just roll it all?
So Jolene rolls that separately.
Okay.
Do you roll your dice?
Cool. And I get just one d20, is that right?
No, you roll 2d20.
Still roll 2.
You roll 2, I roll 1.
Yep.
I see.
Because we have different stats.
Well, isn't terribly there.
No successes.
Oh,
So
there's a success.
Well, if he had made a successful roll, then it would be help.
No.
I think that you can't tell.
That's a bummer.
I think that like you're looking around, it doesn't look like, but you're not certain. The hollow bluff, the vegetation around here, it's hard to tell, hard to get a sense of. And I think that you all are moving around here, and suddenly the door will come open on the lab, and you will see Dr. Lou standing there. He looks harried. His shirt is rumpled, and he looks at you all, and he's like, "Oh, oh, thank God you're here. Thank God you're here. We're killing the voiced. We're killing them." And I'm going to cut away from that to Captain Vate.
Yes.
Long-range sensors show a ship just dropped out of orbit.
Yellow alert.
Looks like a Dominion attack ship.
Red alert.
And that's where we're going to stop for today. That's where we're going to take up next time. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Okay. Let's do a quick stars and wishes. We'll on that cliffhanger there, mid episode commercial break before we go to the second half. Essentially, we've got Dr. Lou. There's a plague on the planet. Some medical stuff going on there. Dominion ship poking its nose around. Hasn't spotted you yet. Those are the situations we're going to deal with next time. Lieutenant Tvilic / Captain Vate, stars, wishes?
Great to be back in Star Trek again. I already enjoy the setup of this mission and the new characters, particularly Mr. Barrick, the interestingness of a civilian aspect to it. And started on for putting up with my actually, if you check the continuity, then clearly, which as soon as I said it, I was like, oh, I'm that guy.
That guy.
Yeah. But yeah, great to be playing back in Star Trek. Wishes as well?
Sure, yeah.
Wishes, let's do a starship fight right now above the planet. I'm sure that won't completely absorb the entire session with a starship fight. But more seriously, one of the things I really like about the framing of Star Trek that we did in the last one was, it's a rank-based, it's a hierarchy, there are orders, people do things and whatever, right? But I enjoyed the meta negotiation of that, right? Where you go like maybe it'd be better if the security guard did it first, and then you sort of hand over that in fiction the security guard goes to do it first, even if you were the character, and like, so as a captain, I'm always going to be forever just like probably like asking you if you want to go on the away team or a supporting character. And if you say, no, I want to play a supporting character, then the captain will come up with a reason why that supporting character, as opposed to your character and character have to say like, no, I don't want to go. And I love that Barrick doesn't want to go and has to go anyways, right? Like, but yeah, because otherwise everybody in Starfleet always wants to go on the away missions because everyone's culture, right? Like, yeah. But anyway, those are my wishes. We'll explore all of that. We'll learn how to do that negotiation orders and initiative and agency, and I want obviously I want that Dominion ship to be some massive complication headache that we have to deal with.
Okay. Dr. DeVell.
Big stars. I mean, I know you apologize, but I liked the callbacks to previous stuff that I'm not unaware of because it feels like a t ongoing narrative of a TV show. Look, I love comic books and comic book role-playing games, so I love callbacks to like previously on. Yeah, I've had more fun in this one session of Star Trek Adventures than the previous campaign I ever played in, because there was never any crew banter. And that just that simple scene with the captain and Devell, and then the captain going to the ensign and was like, "Hey, I need you to do a favor for me." It was just like, and the scene with Mr. Varric and the patient and Ward and the Andorian about the poker game. I'm like, yeah, this feels like a Star Trek. Wishes. Look, I mean, it's the first session. I'm very excited to see more of us interacting. Like, I want to study so much plants, all the
Absolutely.
plants.
Yeah, very much like if it's ever going to come down to it, I'm always going to lean in towards TV logic over system logic in these games. It's always going to be my thing. So, Mr. Varick.
It's been a while since I played online a game, and it was great to come back to this. Stars, I'm really excited about Devel's obsession with plants. I feel like that's just going to be um, either a nice distraction or get us into a lot of trouble.
Mhm.
Either way, it will be great. Star Trek. So, a star for that. Um, I do sometimes feel a little lost with the callbacks, but that is also part of watching Star Trek too. So, so I appreciate that. I hope you guys keep bringing back some of those characters. Um, wishes. I would. I don't know how to do this, but I'm curious to explore the friction of being a civilian on a military uh, spacecraft. So I don't know what that looks like, but that's a wish for me.
I think that's great because that kind of parallels your whole, the mission of the Federation, your skepticism about that. I think, yeah,
Right.
it's a really good thing to keep in mind as a touchstone we want to hit. And Lieutenant Astrid Ward, good to have you back.
Yeah, great to return, even though I'm disgusted at myself for forgetting this detail from 2 years ago. Um, but yeah, a good excuse to bring Tvilic back, who I think was a fan favorite. Um, yeah, I mean, this is kind of a wish and a star rolled up into one. I want to see Commander Vate's continual mission to keep Dr. Devell from ever laying eyes on that Delton orchid, or where it should be, right? Whatever. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. I mean, I guess the other kind of star about the whole way we do these away missions is that sometimes you say, let's send Ward. We don't need our star helm officer because nothing's going to happen interesting. And obviously, that is exactly when. So I will apologize in advance for taking hands-on pilot, which gives a slight complication whenever Ward is not in charge of the helm.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
yeah. Um, where was I? Yeah, I mean, I really want to see. I mean, I guess Devel and Ward are both like lifelong Starfleet people being raised in a Starfleet um, upbringing, and I want to see how Mr. Varric butts heads with them. And I think also Lowell Star for the easy three-pointer of bringing Haskell back, my
Yep.
bête noire, which I love.
Excellent. Thank you all so much. I'm very excited about this. I like this little thing. I chose this scenario because it's in the back of the second edition book because it has a lot of medical stuff in it. So it gives us both Dr. DeVal and Mr. Varick some stuff to do. So I'm excited about it. and it's very Star Trekky. Which sometimes I love Star Trek adventures, but sometimes the adventures and modules they write are not particularly Star Trekky or are way over elaborate. So thank you all very much. I'm going to stop the recording